Namaste and welcome to Detours with me, Anuradha Goyal, where I talk to some very interesting personalities about journeys of all kinds. Today we have with us Srimati Anita Bose ji from Calcutta. She's an author, an artist, an independent researcher, a former guide at National Museum of Bangkok, and a convener at the Global Ramayana Encyclopedia Project. She's the author of two books, Ramayana Footprint in Southeast Culture and Heritage, and Pattachitra of Odisha in Jagannath Culture. Today we are going to talk to Anita ji about the ancient Bengal, the history of Bengal as far as we know it, and let's hear it from her. Anita ji, namaste and welcome to Detours.
Namaste Anuradha ji, thank you for inviting me in this project. Thank you very much.
Anita ji, let's start with the place where we know is the oldest living heritage of Bengal, or what is the oldest known Swaroop of Bengal?
Yeah, actually, thank you very much for this question. Actually, what I want to say that we know about the Bengal that it's like a colonial Bengal or like a British Bengal or the Mughal Bengal.
Mm-hmm.
But history not started from there.
Yes.
Actually, it started from very long past,
Mm-hmm.
And it was mentioned in the Greek Alexander when he came to our country, and in the Megasthenes history book, and there are so many maritime travel log of the Southeast Asia also. So the history of Bengal started, whatever we have the proof of the written. So it can be said that many before Christ.
Okay.
And that time it was a very ancient and very prosperous heritage site. It was known as the Bongo. It's not the Bengal. It was Bongo. And that Bongo was the main, you can say that it is known as the Bongo Hriday. So that Hriday means in Bengali, Hriday means it's a heart. So that was the heart of that whole eastern part of India. And it was not telling by me, actually it is telling by the historian of the Alexanders. And as we discussed before also that it was something there. It's not like that there is nothing else there and everything is coming from the Mughal or the Britishers and then people came to our country. It's not like that. If you have something, then people will come to you. So the same thing happened with the Bengal also. So it was before Christ, and I just read one book about the Indica and the ancient India as described by the Megasthenes and Aryan. And there is a very beautiful story I got, that the storytelling that Alexander met a monk. Maybe what the description I got from the Megasthenes, it is like a Naga Sannyasi. And he asked that how you live in this way and whatever your philosophical thought, everything. And Alexander was quite impressed by him. And once when he tried to cross the Jamuna and he wanted to come to this part of the India, so he sent his messenger to the monk and asked that I want to go there. So that monk told him that okay, you are not happy with the territory where you conquered here, so you want to go to that side. And he said, yes, I want to go to that side. And he said, don't go there, because there is a place named Bongo, and the people of Bongo are so courageous, so much power they have, you could not own them, you could not win there. So that is the first beginning of the history of the Megasthenes, that the monks, and it is a story I read just there. And it is not only in the Megasthenes, it's told, it is telling by Pericles and the Ptolemy also. If you go through the Ptolemy map, you can see there is a very prosperous area is named Bongo and Prasi. So there was two emperor or two king, very prosperous king. One is the Bongo and one was the Prasi or Prasoi. The place name was that.
So I would just want to clarify. So when we say Bango, it included the current day area of West Bengal, Bangladesh, probably Tripura, and parts of Assam as well.
Yeah, as well. Because when I come to the point of that maritime trade, you can listen that how the horse trading was a very important trading of the Bengal, and it was not only done inside the India. That horse went to the Funan, the ancient China. And from there, the Cambodia, the Malaya, the peninsula of Sumatra, even up to Philippines. So this is very important part was because if you see the geographical position of the Bengal, the current Bengal or the Bangladesh, it is very close to sea.
Yes.
And the Ganges river is very. It is like a just the seashore, just a river, a city just beside the river.
Right.
So and we know that all the trading and all the cultural the cultural thing you give the other and you take from other. This the two ways. It's depend on the river. It's very much depend on the river route. So in this way, the Bango Hriday or the Ganga Hriday, they were the ancient clan of the Bengali.
Okay.
And they were if you read also the history of the early Southeast Asia, there's the current book, it's a new book, Kenneth R. Hall written that book. And he also mentioned that the OCCO, the archaeological evidence, and there is also mentioned that the Gangetic plain of the Bengal and how it was very famous. And not only that, during the 2nd and 3rd century, the transport of goods shifted to the sea and the shipping the plough along the maritime route between the southern part of coast of China and to the Bay of Bengal. So you can imagine that how long route was there, and if there is no prosperous country, if there is no prosperous sect of the people, then for whom they are doing those things.
So tell us about some of the ancient ports that we can find in Bengal.
Yeah, we had the Ganga Hriday was the first, and then the Chandraketugarh and the Saptagaon or the Satgaon. Yeah, the Satgaon was very famous because and quite fortunate, it is very close to my in-laws' house. Nowadays, it's known as the Adi Shaptogram. Adi Shaptogram, means the Adi means the ancient, and Shaptogram is the 7th village. So that Satgaon or the Shaptogram was the 7th village. It is known by that different name, and one is the Devanandapur, and that Devanandapur is very, very close to our house.
Okay.
And it's not only that Satgaon was famous, it's known about many historians, many traders, and many other countries also. And when the big ship, that very big ship who came to the Satgaon port or the Saptagram port in 1560, that time also one traveler, the French traveler, Cesar Frédéric, he also wrote that this time the Satgaon is like a prosperous city like Sri Lanka, like a Lanka, because the city is so prosperous. There are so many gold ornamented and the architecture is put by the gold and the jewelry. So that is still in one British traveler also write down about that thing in the 1583. So the Satgaon was so popular, and there is a huge civilization go through on that 7th village, and that is not very far from Calcutta.
Okay, so between Satgaon and Chandraketugarh, which one is older?
Chandraketugarh is most older. Because now, because now the case I said that Chandraketugarh may be as much old as the 12th century BC or 4th century BC.
So Anita ji, I'm just going to take a step back and ask you, Ganga Sagar is also mentioned in our Puranic stories. It's an important part of our epics. So, how do people of Bengal relate to them today?
Yeah, see that today also the Kapil Muni, that the Ganga Sagar is related with the sage's name Kapila. So
Yes.
the we said that the Kapil Muni ashram.
Yes.
So that ashram, so that is also very auspicious place till today.
Mhm.
But the thing is that the original Kapil Muni ashram is now maybe it is shifted for the Ganges. The river flowing, the changes the routes, and that's why. But it was, we all know that the Bhagirath and the 100 son of that Sagar Raja, the king of Sagara, and the Kapil Muni ashram, it is very divine still now. And you don't believe that Bhagirath, which the river came, the Bhagirathi, because the Ganges is known in Bengal as Bhagirathi. So that Bhagirathi river, when came from the Murshidabad, and it came towards what you asked, the Saptagram, the Satgaon, that the Bhagirathi is touching those places and come to the Tribeni. We have also one Tribeni.
Okay.
One Tribeni is Allahabad, and another one is in the Saptagram. It's very close to Saptagram, because that's why it was so important port that time. And it is the Ganga, Jamuna, and the Saraswati.
Again, the same three rivers.
Yeah, the same three rivers, Ganga, Jamuna, and Saraswati. So the main port and main trading is depend on the Saraswati river on that time in the Satgaon or Saptagram.
Okay, so before we come to the maritime trade from this port, is there any annual festival or a periodic festival that still happens in Ganga Sagar?
Yes, Ganga Sagar still we have a program in the the Poush Sankranti, and that time it is still continue, and various people went from the different part of the India, and they went there, they do the meditation or they take the bath. Actually, just same thing what is done in the Kumbha, and the same thing people want to take a holy bath in the Ganga Sagar, and people believe that it is give them the auspiciousness, and it will be relieved there from the sin, whatever our common belief.
And this happens every year.
Yeah, every year, and there is a very huge fair. So that's just like a Kumbh. You can say that it's a small phase of the Kumbh Mela is done there.
Great to see there is a thread of living civilization for such a long time. Right?
And I want to mention that this Ganga Sagar and this Kapil Muni ashram, it is one of the ancient link with the Ramayat Sadhu. You know the Ramayat Sadhus who are in Bengal. We know that the Ramayat Sadhus who are oftenly singing about the Ramayana or telling about the Ram Katha. So those Ramayat Sadhu is actually belong from that ancient Kapil Muni ashrama. So nowadays it's not so many, but still they have the link of the Ramayat Sadhu and the Kapil Muni ashram.
Very nice, very beautiful. I am sure many of our listeners would be happy to know about this. So coming back to Satgaon and Chandraketugarh, so we understand that Bengal was a major trading port even well before the British came down to Calcutta. Okay, so tell us a little about the things that were traded from these ports. What were the key items that were either exported or imported from here?
Yeah, actually, see, you know that India is rich in many things. Yeah, our heritage, our culture, it's some richness is there obviously every time. But main thing was from the Bengal, it was the cotton. The fine cotton, which is known, because we have to remember that time it was Bongo, it was not divided by the Bangladesh and the Bengal. So the muslin, the muslin and the cotton is very, very famous from there, because it was not known as the muslin, but I read that the foreigner country and the Southeast Asia also, they know that the cotton of the Bongo is so fine that it come to inside a ring.
Yes.
Yeah, and not only that, the Southeast Asia, especially the Sumatra and the Philippines and the Malacca and the Malaya, those islands, and the Java also, the trading route of with the Bengal and those places, they have the various food stuff. They mention also that the rice the dry fish, and the fruits, various type of fruits also trading. And another thing was the bay leaf. Even Batuta also wrote that thing, that the bay leaf of the eastern part of India, the Bangabhumi, it was very famous for the, it is not only for the spices, it's used as the aroma also.
Right.
Right, and we said it Tej Patta
Yes.
in Bengali.
Yes.
Tej Patta. So there are so many things. It is
betel nuts as well.
Yeah, and the betel nuts. That's why you want to say that. That for the guiding, I was in the last 6 years. I was in Thailand, and we make a study group, and we went various places from the Siam Society and National Museum Bangkok, and we went a very ancient port of the Thailand, and they have a small museum. And the curator showing me that, see, this is here. Actually, I love to wearing saris, and she asked me that, oh, you are very beautiful saris, and from which part of India you are? I said, I'm from Bengal. And she told me that, come here and see, this is from the Bengal. Your Bengal, there are so many betel nut, that ancient betel nut and the pottery. And there are those are coming from the Bengal. So this was a very important port for the trading. It's not only for the Mughals or the Britishers. It was a very ancient link with the other part of the planet. It's not only Southeast Asia.
Okay.
It was up to Rome.
Okay. So what did we get in return? So we were exporting cotton, we were exporting dry fruits, we were exporting bay leaf, we were exporting betel nuts. So what were we getting from these lands in return?
Few sociologists and few archaeologists, they think, and we are also getting some. It was like a golden coin, okay, and the teeth, it's called the elephant teeth.
Ivory.
It is ivory. Ivory was very important thing that time, and mainly they earned in the money. Because we always are self-sufficient. India has everything. If you think, actually, my father was a sailor. He was in Navy, and he always told me that I roamed around the whole world, but I never see a country like us. We have everything. So our traders mainly they are fond of their the beautiful Indonesian or the Japanese carving. I got few things. So this is sometimes they change that thing, and sometimes they change also the ruby, because the Burmese, if you go to that side, the ruby, the stone, different type of jewelry, sometimes they exchange that also.
So we were getting all the precious metals and precious stones.
Not all, but few stones from there.
Right. In fact, I think this is how we've collected all our gold.
Maybe because there was a famous verse that in Rome, and in that time in the Greek also, that all our gold is going to the India. That time it was Bharat, and they give us the cotton.
Yes.
So against the cotton, they take our gold.
Yes. So I would say from our perspective, our cotton was worth. Gold.
Definitely. It was worth than gold.
Okay. So now I'm going to bring you to, so you've taken us from, Puranic era to ancient era to the medieval era. Now tell us, what are the material remains of these times that we can still see? Are there any ancient temples, ancient forts, or anything that we can see now?
See, one thing I have to say, we have definitely. I am telling you the name and those the which centuries. But the thing is, when the Bengal is divided, the Bengal and the Bangladesh, that time it was so much architectural valuable thing was destroyed. We all know that history.
Yes.
And that's why it was not too easy to get it to the intact. But after so many destruction also, still we have that the Mahasthangarh University. We all know about the Nalanda.
Yeah.
But very few we know about the Mahasthangarh. It was very ancient, ancient stupa and university. It was 700 BC. 700 BC, and then in the in if you it was now in the Bengal, Bangladesh. But if you come to our Bengal, from Kolkata, it is maybe 100 kilometers away from the Bardwan district and the Bankura district. You can get the 7th century from the 8th century's temple, the Sonatapal temple, Deulghata, Purulia, Bankura, Bardwan. We have the rich culture, and you can get that thing also.
Okay.
And in the Jotar Deul, it was a very ancient temple. Is named as the Jotar Deul, Bahulara temple, and the Shad Deul, the Pakaberia temple. It all have still the date they have remained.
So tell us tell us about these couple of oldest temples. What kind of architecture they have, what kind of material they use, and
yeah. Actually, especially those temple, what I telling about the name of the temple now so those all are mostly terracotta.
Okay.
The terracotta temple. Yeah.
Terracotta temples are all medieval temples, right?
Yeah, but if you see that 8th centuries and 9th centuries temple, most are the terracotta, few are the stone temple.
Okay.
And there are very ancient one thing also. It is not only the that the it's not like a temple, but it's a huge mound. Huge mound, and that known as the Pandu Raja Dibi.
Where is this?
This is in Bardhaman.
Okay.
This is in Bardhaman, and that is known as the original King Pandu, and it is related with the Mahabharata. And it was, the excavation started under B.B. Lal, Professor B.B. Lal, and he said that it is almost 1600 before Christ or 1700 before Christ.
Okay.
And they got also the chalolithic and the copper utensils and some type of pottery, the red pottery, which is very famous in whole Southeast Asia. That is belong from there. Okay. So I think we should more study and more research on our own culture.
Yes, we need to do. Which are the other 2 or 3 temples you would recommend for people who are very interested in the ancient heritage?
Yeah, definitely. If someone went to the the Gokulmet temple, this is a few temple are in Bangladesh also. This Gokulmet temple is the 8th century, the Pala architecture,
Right.
So this is from the Bagura district of Bangladesh.
Okay.
But the Jotar Deul, it was from the 10th century.
Where is this Jotar Deul?
The Jotar Deul is the South 24 Paragana. The South 24 Paraganas.
So it should not be too far from Calcutta.
No. It's not. It is called. The famous Diamond Harbour.
Yes.
And so that is near the Diamond Harbour. Okay. And there is a Bahulara temple. It's beautiful. That Bahulara temple in the 8th century temple, and it is in the Bankura district.
Okay. So I have seen the sculptures of Pala period in various museums across India, and a lot of them in actually Patna Museum.
Yes.
And some of them in the Indian.
I think in Delhi Museum also.
Delhi Museum also.
Yeah.
And they are very exquisite, very finely carved in black stone, usually dark black stone.
Yeah.
And obviously the stone doesn't happen in the Bengal region. It must have come from outside at some point in time. But do we have any temples or any other structural remains of Pala period?
Yeah. You can get so many things if you go to the Indian Museum also. And what is you can say the Pala period beautifully carved the stone image, especially the Bodhisattva or the Buddhist Tara, this type of image. And then if you go to the Bishnupur and Bankura, that side, actually it is under the that the Hindu king of the King Hambir and the Mallak dynasty.
Yes.
Malla dynasty was ruled there.
But
So
Malla dynasty is very late. Malla dynasty is
it's very late.
1678.
Yeah,
It's pretty
1678.
late.
But before also, if you go to that, I said that the Bakura, the Shonatpal temple or the Bahulara temple, you can get the beautiful structure. Few remains still now. Okay.
Okay.
So, and it is depend on, they have a very small museum in Bakura. It is in the Bishnupur.
Yes,
Very small museum. Yeah.
I've seen
And they have few ancient pieces of the from the Pala period. But the thing is, the most of the ancient thing, if you want to see, you have to go to the outside of the India, because I saw so many remaining things in my Bangkok National Museum. We never saw here also.
Right. No, what I was looking for more of a structure. Sculptures I know are scattered all over the world.
Yeah.
But a structure which is ancient.
The structure is that those temple what I telling about you.
Okay.
Those are still have the remain. I will send the photos and you can see.
Yes, I will.
Yeah. So you can see the beautifully, and very interestingly, when I talking you, I want to share one thing that I went last year in Surabaya. The ancient Surabaya, and they have the Majapahit and the Mojokerto. And I was surprised to see that the same structure, same style of architecture, and same style of surroundings, whatever I see in the Deulghata or the Sunatapal temple, and the same thing is happen in that place. The same time, 8th to 11th century.
Right.
Yeah,
so which
because
means there were very strong links between the two.
Yeah. And the most of the are either Sun temple or either Vishnu temple.
Okay, so sun worship is also popular in Bengal.
Yeah, sun worship also popular in Bengal,
because we in our popular perception we associate Bengal with Chandi Puja or Devi Puja.
Yeah, the Matri Shakti.
Yes,
the Matri Shakti. Oh, this is fine. This is I forgot to telling you another interesting thing, that if you start from the Bengal, okay, and go to Southeast Asia, the most of the places through the seasides, and they are worshipping mother worshippers.
So what route would you follow? So from Bengal you would go to Odisha?
Yeah, if you go through like that Odisha, no, I will follow that the Bengal to Burma, and then the the Cambodia, the Thailand, the Sham, it was known as the Sham Cambodia in the past time.
Right.
And because in Sham Desh, in the modern Thailand, no, so they have also very much faith on the Uma Devi.
Yes, so I have seen Uma Devi sculptures in
Bangkok. So the Uma Devi and the Lakshmi. So who is this Uma Devi and Lakshmi? They are the form of the Mother Durga, the part of the Mother Durga, whatever you like to say. If you go to Indonesia, there are 1,000 and 1,000 Mahishasur-Mardini Durga.
Right.
It is so amazing to see. If you go to Bali is worshipping Sri, and that Sri is the Lakshmi, and that is also related with the Bengal because we have. We worshipped every Thursday the Lakshmi Puja in our home, in the Bengali home, and that is related with the rice cultivation. So it's known as the Dhanna Lakshmi, and the same concept in Bali. The Dhanna Lakshmi. Yeah,
beautiful.
Same component. Acha. Now we are worshipping Saraswati. Bengalis are very much fond of Saraswati, and we worshipping is a huge way. Okay.
Right.
And in Bali. They have worshipping Saraswati twice in a year.
Right. And they have beautiful Saraswati temple.
Yeah, they have beautiful Saraswati temple. And not only that, you know that you say the maritime trading and those all those things coming. So I have to say that the Poila Boishak, which is the first day of the Boishak, and we are celebrating it in Bengal. It's known as the Poila Boishak. In Assam, it is known as the Bihu. In Punjab, it is known as the Baishakhi.
Right.
And whole Southeast Asia, if you see the map, you can see the whole Southeast Asia are celebrating this celebration of the Boishak in a different name.
Right.
Either it is Shankranti, either it is Sankran, either it is Thingumin in Burma,
Mhm.
So they all are celebrating those things. And if I go back to history, I
Mhm.
can see the trading
Mhm.
route with Bengal,
Mhm.
Assam,
Mhm.
and few part of the Punjab also. They
Mhm.
come, they selling their thing through Bengal port. The Ango Bongo Kalingo, that term it was known as
Right.
Kalingo and the Bongo. So and another thing is that if you go to Phuket, you
Mhm.
get a part that named Bangli.
Mhm.
So in Bengal, the Bangli is known from the people who are came from the Bongo,
Mhm.
and the Kling from the Kalinga.
Ah.
So that Kling and the Bangli,
Oh,
you can get it in many parts of Southeast Asia till the date.
great. In fact, I remember I recently read Chandi Mangal, 15th, 16th century text from Bengal, and it has an elaborate description of the sea route from Bengal to Sri Lanka. And it actually covers every port on the way.
Yes, yes. And if you go back to the Sri Lanka history also, you
Mhm.
can see one king, the one prince actually that time it was a prince. His name is the Bijay Singha, and
Huh.
from Bijay Singha it is the Singhal, and
Mhm.
that Bijay Singha is the origin from the Bengal.
Oh,
Yeah. So
okay.
I have a friend, a Sri Lanka friend. I said that, see, you are my sister. And
Yeah.
she said, how? I said that you're beginning from starting from the Bengal.
Right,
Yeah, so
right,
the whole,
right.
so there is so many fascinating uh, fact, and the history is scattered all over the Southeast Asia, and the relation is very strong with the part of Bengal, you know.
Yeah, I think we need to do is kind of start talking about it so that we know that we've always been a very global country.
Yes, yes, that is not like that today, because
Yeah.
the word is a Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam.
Yes.
This Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that's why it was very famous, because we are, it is not like that today we are coming out from the our country and scattered in the various part of the world. It was there.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
Great, Anita ji. Thank you so much for taking us through this lovely journey through Bango. And we hope that we'll come back to you to listen more about your works in different fields, your social work with Ramakrishna Mission, and whole lot of other things. I, of course, follow you on social media, and we are connected through the Ramayana project.
Yeah,
So,
thank you so much. Thank
thank
you.
you so much for enlightening us about Bengal.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste, namaste to all the listeners. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Detours. You can also join us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Our handle is Inditales, INDITALES. See you soon.